Welcome to the Swank Golf Podcast, the podcast for new golfers, old golfers, and everybody in between. I'm your host, Nadir, and on this podcast, we'll be discussing my journey and others by interviewing golfers of all skill sets that I know and that I meet along the way. Welcome back to the Swank Golf Podcast. We got a really good show this week, guys. Really excited about this one. Today, my guest is the founder and CEO of the Amateur Golf Society, which is a league around here. And if you haven't heard about it, you better get hip. Please welcome Dan Hershberg to the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, no doubt,
Pleasure
man.
being here.
Yeah, yo, I appreciate you coming. We talked about this show happening.
Yep.
Here we are. So I want to really kind of start in the beginning, just so my guests can kind of get to know, who you are, and how you're associated with golf. Just give me your background with golf, maybe when you started, when you fell in love with it.
Oh, man. So falling in love with the game of golf. I grew up in Philly, been here my whole life. My dad was a professor, and we still do summer up in Maine, up in the North Woods.
Okay.
And I think I was 12 years old. Came downstairs wearing a pair of like Payne Stewart kind of like Argyle pants, thinking I was on something. And my dad looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Dad, let's go play golf." My dad turns to me, he goes, "Son, golf is an effete sport." And I was like, "Effete? What the hell does that mean?" And my dad goes, "Look it up in the dictionary." So real good parenting tip right there. I run away. I'm all upset. My mom turns to him and is like, "Your son wants to do something with you. Like, stop being such an asshole. Like, go play golf with your son." So we'd never picked up a golf club before. Went to this like podunk golf course up in the mountains near our place in Maine. I think between the two of us, my dad likes to say we combined for 220 strokes that we counted, right? It was probably more like 300. But after that, we were hooked and just kind of became a big fan of the game, fell in love with it. So
That's really cool. I love to hear those types of stories where, a father or a mother or someone brings you into the sport, because I'm doing the very same thing with my kids right now. So when you started, did you fall in love with it right away when you guys started?
I feel like I fell in love with the idea of getting time with my dad. This was something that like he had blown out his knees growing up playing baseball. We didn't really have a sport. I played soccer growing up. He was not a fan of soccer, didn't really know that much about the game, wasn't something we could do together. So kind of being able to get out there and spend, a few hours with my pops hanging out, shooting the breeze, that was, I think, really what drew me to it. And then the more I played, and I think the mistake that I made that I would urge anyone who's listening to me talk today, if you've never played golf, go get lessons right away. Like, don't make the mistakes that are easily correctable with a little bit of advice, right? Because from your golf swing, like that stuff gets ingrained. So I think over time, just getting a feel for it, spending more time out there learning, hearing good tips, and just being with friends, I think that's kind of what took me from like a passive golfer to much more of an active and avid fan of the game.
Okay. Did you, when you got lessons, did your dad get lessons too?
He probably said that he got lessons, but I think he was much more just kind of hacking around, not paying too much attention. He felt like, I know what I'm doing. I'll figure this out. It's one of those kind of modes. But for me, it was like, soak it up. I love it. Love being coached. Love listening to people who know it better than me.
Very cool. Very cool. During those times when you were coming up, what courses did you go to in the area?
Walnut Lane was my home course growing up. So I grew up in Mount Airy. One of my best friends lived around the corner. So if I could go over to his place, throw the sticks in my parents' car when they dropped me off and could walk over and, play a little bit. That was always kind of where we got our first golf in.
Okay, cool. When you started, did any of the challenges of the sport deter you from like keeping going, or did that make you?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said golf wasn't insanely frustrating, right?
Yeah.
Like we've all had those moments where, what's great about the game is that when you're playing well, you feel like you're never going to miss another shot again. You're like, I've got this game. I understand it. And then you could literally come out the next day and not know how to hit the ball. You couldn't keep it on the face of the planet. So I think one of the things that I've learned the more I've played is to kind of have that patience with myself and patience with the game, and understand that this is not unique to me. Like anybody who's ever picked up a golf club is going to run into those same challenges. And I'm always happy to kind of persevere through it.
Yeah, definitely. Did you have, outside of your father, did you have anyone else in your life, friends, anything that like egged you on, like, hey, you're pretty good?
I don't think anyone ever said I'm really good, but they were saying you're happy to come out and play with me. So I had a couple good buddies I grew up with, one of whom was into the sport from day one,
Okay.
well before I was even. His grandparents lived down in Pinehurst, North Carolina.
Okay.
So he grew up around the golf course, was into it. I remember he had the Tiger head cover back in the early, I guess at that point, late 90s.
Okay.
And so that was kind of cool, just like a guy who knew the game of golf, who paid attention to it, and I used to tag around with him and play a bunch.
Okay, very cool. Well, while you hold that thought, we have to step away really quick for a sponsor break, and we'll be right back. When the banks say no, where are you going to go? If you're a small business looking for funding, or if you have a new venture that you're trying to get off the ground, go to orightsolutions.com and they'll get you the funding you need. Welcome back to the Swank Golf Podcast. We're sitting here with Dan Hershberg, CEO and founder of AGS. So let's jump into AGS really quick.
Sure.
Amateur Golf Society. Can you tell us, like, what is it and what made you start it?
Yeah, so AGS actually got its start when I was running a craft brewery in King of Prussia during the pandemic. We lost the ability to bring people into our taproom space, and like most businesses, we were trying to figure out how do we replace the lost revenue, from that on-premise component of our business. And we had a bunch of golf courses in the area who had carried our product, and thought, all right, well, let's see if we can develop a deeper relationship with those facilities, because we have no idea how long this is going to last.
Right.
It's going to be one of the only things you can do that's socially distant. And obviously, selfishly, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to do things I like doing. So if I could go sell beer to golf courses and spend more time there, it would make sense. So that was the impetus, 5 years ago now. What we built kind of as a result was a flexibly scheduled competitive golf series for, amateurs of all skill levels. So the way AGS works is that we host a week-long event at a dedicated public facility, and all our members have to do is just play one 18-hole round at any day or time during that 7-day window to qualify. So it's all about schedule flexibility. It doesn't matter if you're new to the game, or maybe you played a lot competitively growing up and had to put it aside for kids or work or what have you. So it's a really great way to kind of get back into it, meet new people, see new courses. And the business side of it really, I think it kind of extrapolated a good bit from that original let's sell some beer to golf courses to let's understand why that makes sense for those facilities.
Right.
It was, if I'm bringing net new golfers to your club, right? People who've maybe never played before, who might not have been back in a while, at no cost to them, it's a value add from a business perspective to that facility as well.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. And you mentioned before about how the league is all about community.
Yeah.
And that includes the people that are a part of the league as well as the golf courses. What's something that a member can gain from the league?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things members can gain. Certainly being able to go out and play competitively regardless of your skill level is really nice. And like, I live in South Philadelphia, not near any facility. I'm not joining a private club anytime soon with kids at home, right? So I wanted to have that competitive itch, and that's not typically formalized outside of maybe like a Tuesday night 9-hole league at the same venue. Or you have to commit to a rotating tour that's every Saturday, set day and time, fixed cost, guys I don't really know, and it gets a little like high-end competitive.
Yeah.
Really wanted to offer something that's a little bit more accessible for everybody, and you can customize it to the degree that fits for you. So if you're super into competition and you really want to test yourself, either against yourself or against your buddies, AGS affords you that opportunity. But you don't have to be good at golf, right? That's one of the keys, is you can come in at any level. And I always say, when you go out on the golf course, I would say 9 out of 10 times the people you're paired with, if it's not your entire group of buddies, are people that you want to spend time with, right?
That's the truth.
You love meeting people. They're all different walks of life, but they kind of share that common bond of, hey, we're out here making fools of ourselves for 4.5 hours, ideally over a couple beverages. So I really wanted to find a way to create community around that and make it easier to stay in touch with the people that you meet on the golf course.
Now, is that something, when you say stay in touch, is that something that you can do within the app or something like that?
Absolutely. So AGS has a tool called the Player Pairing Program, and it's available to all of our members in the app. So when you join AGS, you're prompted to create a player profile.
Yeah.
And in that profile, you can specify if you're open to playing with other people. So it's fully optional, right? But if you opt into that, you can designate days and times that you're most interested in playing, courses that you're looking to play, your hobbies, your interests, your alma mater. And frankly, from there, it becomes one click. You can see essentially through a filter for all those variables.
Yeah.
So I could be like, hey, I want to meet someone who went to University of Delaware, who's between a 10 and a 15 index, who's interested in business networking. And if I click those filters, it'll spit out a list of all the members who fit that criteria.
That's very cool.
Send a link to invite them to come play golf.
That is very cool. That's very cool. So with that, are there any like members that you can think of right now that you don't have to tell me names or anything, but any randoms who like got paired together and now they're like the bestest friends?
So
does that happen?
Yeah, it's so funny, and we didn't talk about this before, which makes me even happier to bring this anecdote to the podcast. There's a group of 3 guys. They're all Delaware based. So one is an older gentleman. I think he's in his mid to late 60s. He's retired. The second one is at mid 20s. He just started his family, just got married. And the other one is like a late 30s. He's got 2 or 3 kids.
Yeah.
All different skill levels. They got connected through AGS, and now they play golf together pretty much every round when they can.
Wow.
They don't even live within an hour radius of each other, but they find courses that fit their collective schedules. And the reason I know this is because I met them and I got a chance to play with them and heard how they got connected, which, as the founder of the business, that's a super cool feeling to know that there was utility in the product that we're offering and that these guys got value out of that.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. One thing about golf that I do like is that all walks of life can come together and have a common ground.
Yep.
It kind of takes away some of the barriers that are there when you are with people who are like maybe different ages or whatever.
No doubt.
So I think that's really, really cool. So you mentioned that you've played with them. Are you in the league, or are you not allowed?
Yeah, I mean, I dabble a little bit. I mean, I don't think I'd be eligible to win any prizes, but my game hasn't elevated to the level quite yet where I'm competitive on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah.
But I do like getting out. For the same reason that I assume you do, trying new golf courses. I've never played before. If I've got a day where things are a little slower, there's nothing better than going out and hitting some balls.
That's the truth.
So it's a good chance to meet some people too, and taking the opportunity to get their feedback. Because as an entrepreneur, the only thing that really matters, especially in a membership-based business, is do your customers want your product, right?
Yeah.
What am I doing well? What am I not doing well? How can I iterate and build a better experience for them as part of that membership?
Very cool. So also too, want to put it out there that I recently signed up.
Thank you.
I'm excited to do my first round.
Yeah.
This is going to be my first time playing competitive golf. I'm very competitive with myself. So when I'm out there, I'm in my head, I'm competing, I'm trying to do better than what I did the last. I'm very interested to see how my first AGS round goes and see how the mental side of it, how that affects me. Do you think playing competitive golf changes the scenery?
I think it changes 100%. And what's interesting is that, when somebody says competitive, insert the sport, right? There's an assumption of what that means in the context of what's surrounding you. So if I said competitive golf traditionally, that means there's scoring officials. That means maybe there's a gallery. There's people following you. You're going head to head with somebody. In this case, it is no different than when you teed it up recreationally a week ago, 2 weeks ago, right? It's just you and your clubs and the hole. And the difference is with the handicap system, what makes golf, I think, a really fantastic game for people to get involved with is that it doesn't matter how good you are at a raw level, right? All you care about in the handicap system is, am I playing to my posted ability?
Right.
So if I average 90 strokes per round and I'm playing on an AGS event and I shoot 89, that's not going to be good enough to win the top division, right? But I'm not flighted in the top division. I'm flighted with people who are also shooting around 90. So I beat my average score, let's say, by 1, and this is all, I'm simplifying this for the purpose of conversation, but the idea is that you only really care about doing better than your average at the end of the day. So that side of competition is like, okay, I don't care if I posted a 7 because I know I've done that before, right? To come back till I get a par on the next hole, maybe I'll throw a birdie out there, and at the end of the day, was my score good enough that I felt like, I pushed myself to my competitive limit?
That's interesting, and that's something that I liked about it. I have goals. Trying to get better. What do they say? 1% better every day. That's where I'm at. So the fact that I'll be competing against other people who are on the same level as me, it just lit the fire a little more. Because if you told me I'm competing against people who've been playing for 20 years and they're five handicap, I'm not going to be that excited. Just because I know that I'll be tailing in the back. But the fact that I am going to be going against people in my bracket, it just makes me very eager to get out there.
If you flip that script too, the person who's a 5 handicap is not all that excited against competing with you because you're going to get more strokes.
Right.
It's going to be easier for you to beat that person. So that's what, in terms of how we've built this business and the model within our format, the way that those flights work is that you're only going to be competing against people of a similar ability. And you have the ability to level up or level down, right, based on how your handicap fluctuates. But that's what's really good about it, is that you're always going to be competing against people in that same skill level, which makes it an equitable experience.
Okay. That's cool. I have a question. We're going to get back to the league, but I have a question. Do you think playing with players that are better than you makes you better?
I do. So my colleague Sam, who's been with me basically since day one of this business, he is a 2.5 handicap. He's a member over at Manufacturers, and every time I get a chance to play with him, especially at his home club, which is a very challenging track, I learned something about the way he approaches a hole. And I love playing with him specifically because in my head, I've created this image of a 2.5 handicapper, let's call it close to a scratch golfer, as someone who hits the living shit out of the ball, who's, making every putt, who's just hitting it further. That's not his game at all. He's very consistent, right? Avoids mistakes. I'll hit the ball further than him a lot of times. I'll hit some nicer looking shots than him, but I'm also throwing up a double bogey, a triple bogey. He's playing the par almost all the time. Very consistent. And I think when you watch the way someone like that goes about a course, it reminds you that there is not one way to score. The only thing that matters in golf is how many shots did it take me to get it into the hole. Not how high I hit it, not how long I hit it, not how low I hit it. It's just getting it in the hole. And I think that's a really good lesson that better golfers can help you with.
That's very, very cool. I want to dive more into that when we get back. Got a sponsorship. Got to pay some bills.
Heard that.
All right, guys, we'll be right back. Got another sponsor. We'll be right back. We plan on being on the golf course all day long this year. Let's do one thing for our wives and make sure that we get the flowers right. Let's leave the gas station flowers along. Let's skip the supermarket and make sure you go down to New Blossom Flowers. You can order flowers. It's easy. They're guaranteed to be fresh, and they're sure to keep you out of trouble. And also, tell them that Swank Golf sent you. All right, and we're back talking to Dan from AGS. So before we left, we were talking about, being paired with people who are, same skill set as you, not the same skill set. When you are playing personally, let's say you're playing with someone who hasn't played, all right? Because again, this show is for, it's for all golfers, but we want to encourage golfers to get out there. But when you're playing with people who haven't played long, are you the type of person that'll help them along, give them tips? Are you the type of person that's so locked in on your game that you don't even want to give them a time of day?
I think a lot of it is reading the room and understanding what that person wants, right? It's no different than being a parent a lot of the time, right? When you see something's wrong with your kid, do they want your help? Do they just want your encouragement, your support, or do they want you to tell them how to fix the problem? I think in golf, it's a lot like that, where sometimes you have a new golfer who's receptive to feedback, and they say, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I slicing the ball? It's, oh, well, have you considered maybe your grip is too weak, or maybe your alignment's off, right? Whatever that is. And you can give little tips, and I feel like, regardless of your level or your experience, if you have things that can be beneficial and someone's willing to listen, can't hurt to suggest it. I do think the interesting thing about golf as it pertains to feedback is that if you're not a scratch golfer, someone who might be willing to listen might not be willing to listen to you, right? Because they're watching you make some of the same mistakes. So that can be a challenge. When my buddies, whenever we go out, we're always, we figured this one out. We were watching this YouTube video, and I'm never going to miss a putt again. And then within 3 holes, you're like, this didn't play.
I figured it out. I figured it out might be the line that you hear the most.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the beginning. I mean, I know I've said it so many times, and I stopped saying it to my friends because there is no figuring it out. There is no figuring it out.
When you do, let me know, though. That would be great.
Right? Yeah. So do you have anything in your personal game that you're working on right now?
I think for me, it's all about consistency and eliminating the bigger score. So really what that boils down to, I think, is course management. If I watch the way I've played my game, I've shot as low as 73. I've shot as high as 110, right? Maybe not in the same season or the same week, but I have a pretty wide range of outcomes. And I think part of that is the mental approach to it and realizing that, okay, maybe this shot, maybe I have hit it. Maybe there's 195 yards, carry to a green, and I've got a great lie. Well, I could hit my 4-iron there. I've done it before. What's the likelihood I'm going to do it right now, right? Is it 1 out of 10? Is it 4 out of 10? And it's mitigating that risk and saying, okay, I could do that, But if I miss it and I put it in the water, I'm guaranteeing myself a double bogey, right? But if I lay it up to 160 yards and then I have a little flip wedge and a putt, I could just as easily make that par. So a lot of it is understanding what's the downside and try to mitigate that by playing smarter on the golf course.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. You know, I feel like in my journey, you know, you want to learn how to hit the ball. You want to learn how to do things the right way. And then far as playing the game and strategy sometimes gets overlooked.
Yeah.
And I feel right now that's where I'm at, where I have to play smarter, pick better targets, select the right club based on my targets, and stop trying to hit the flag on every single swing.
Well, we've never played golf together, and we'll hopefully remedy that here shortly.
Yes.
But I feel like you told me before that you were an athlete, right? And I got good feedback from a guy years ago who was giving me lessons. He was like, "You played college soccer?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I used to be athletic." I was like, "All right, cool." Trust the athlete side of your body, right? It's very easy to get into your head on the golf course because all the swing tips, all the jokes we make about, I figured it out, I watched this video. The mechanical side of it is a constant battle. And sometimes you just don't have it.
Yeah.
But if you swing loose, you swing free, you take the thinking out of it sometimes. I know I just talked about course management as a thinking, but like really just saying, let me be an athlete. Let me go out there, let me get the ball up in the air, let me get it closer to the hole and not worry about every little, mechanical tweak in my swing.
Yeah, I feel like that works for me. I said in the last episode, when I'm moving before my swing, got my feet moving, toes moving, hands moving a little bit before my swing, I feel like I get better swings. When I'm static, waiting, thinking about it, that's when I plant the club right into the ground.
Not the way we're looking for at that point.
No. So I wanted to swing back to the league.
Sure.
So I looked at the list.
Yeah.
I got some stars next to some of the lists, some of the courses. There's some on there that I've played before, a lot that I haven't. Do you have a favorite course that's on the list?
Oh man, yeah. I've been really lucky through this project the last few years to get a chance to get out and play a lot of these facilities that I'd never heard of before. Jeffersonville has always been one of my favorites the last probably 3 or 4 years. Didn't know about it prior to opening a brewery in King of Prussia. And then it's like, wow, this course has been here a really long time. The team over there is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a nice place.
Yeah, so that's great. Love Honeybrook. I love Wyncote, which is a little further out for me, but both awesome golf courses.
Yeah, I played Wyncote before. I think it's a links course, but I lost so many balls, man. It was like 2 years ago, but
it's a tough golf course. Yeah, especially if the wind is up. I mean, you really have no defense. You can't stop that, man. It's too tough.
Yeah. Do you what makes a course hard? What makes a course hard?
I think sometimes certain courses fit your eye as a golfer, whether it's the shot shape you prefer, draw or fade, whether it's the way that the greens are structured. Like I have a good buddy of mine who I play a ton of golf with, and we see eye to eye on a lot, but he hates Jeffersonville because the greens for him are too challenging, those kind of turtleback. He's just doesn't like it, doesn't suit his eye. And I have a hard time justifying it. I'm like, I love playing this golf course. I would play there every day if I could.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just what makes you comfortable, maybe where you've had success. Once you've had success and then you don't feel as stressed about, can I tackle this challenge? It's just like life. I mean, golf is, we could probably shoot the shit for 30 minutes on that alone. The microcosm of the game of golf as it relates to life. It's like when you've done something and you feel comfortable, it becomes so much easier to do it again. So that's kind of where my head's at on that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the landscape of it, conditions get me. Like even if, regardless of the course, if it's wet and windy, I just have a tough day, man. I don't know why. I don't know if it's mentally. I just have a tough day no matter what course I'm on.
I would go out on a limb and guess it's mostly mental because I feel like your golf swing will travel. Like you're still hitting the ball, right, with your same golf club, still on grass, or it's still in sand, or it's still in rough, right? At the end of the day, you just have to get yourself in the position where you say, all right, today's the day that wind and water is not going to bother me.
Right.
And I'm going to play it differently, right? I understand if it's really windy and my ball's not going as far as it is, let me stop trying to hit the hero shots, right? So that's like all those little factors when you think about it, approaching that's, again, these are all things that I've learned over the years from people giving me feedback on similar concerns. And I find like so much of the game is just interpreting the stuff that you think you need to listen to and the stuff that you should listen to, right? And kind of building your strategy.
I got two questions. Same question, two scenarios. What's the biggest misconception about golf? And then what is the biggest misconception about competitive golf, like your league?
Man, that's a great question. I think biggest misconception about, I'll do the second part first, about competitive golf. and this is again a stigma for us to try to address people with the handicap system, everybody can play competitive golf. Yeah. It does not matter how much experience you have in the game. It does not matter how comfortable you feel. If you're interested in playing competitive golf, the handicap system allows for it. Yeah. And I think what we really try to present to people, especially if they're new to the community, come out and be part of AGS. You don't have to post all your rounds to a competitive leaderboard now. We have a social function. So, hey, let's say you want to go play at Honeybrook and your friends want to come out. I'm not sure I'm ready to play competitively. Just come out and play. Use the tee sheet to get better access to your tee time. Come play with your buddies and just have a fun round and see what it looks like, right? Get a feel for it, that their quote-unquote competitive round is just your buddies hitting 18 holes of golf. Right. So I think that's a big misconception, and some of it's just a misunderstanding of the handicap system. I think in terms of golf as a game, I think really where the industry is trying to take the sport is that golf, everyone assumes golf is 18 holes of green grass, right? Like, I got to go out, I got to play a 4.5-hour round, that's golf. Golf is so much more now, between the advent of simulators, between the Top Golf experience, between chip and putts, all these like high-end kind of fun, funky little mini golf places. Yeah. That's all golf, right? And you would never expect somebody to go to a driving range, hit the ball for an hour, and then be ready to go play 18 holes of golf. It's not going to happen. It is too hard of a game, and it's unrealistic to expect people to go out and do that. Yeah. So I think the misconception that, and I think the industry's done a pretty good job of flipping the script, is that golf can be any number of different things in one.
So that's a good answer. That's a good answer. You say flipping the script, which brings me to another question. Yeah. I've been in the sport for 4 years, 4 years now, but I know that there's been a cultural change. Mm-hmm. The game is growing. Yep. How do you feel about that change, and what have you seen since you started until now? I mean, I'm wholeheartedly for it. I think anything that has been monolithic for so long is ripe for disruption, is ripe for invention, is ripe for bringing new people into that tent. And I think what I love about golf, we were talking about it before off camera, is that the number of times that I meet somebody on a golf course that I don't enjoy spending time with is slim. Now, they're going to run into people you don't like, but by and large, the people you meet and you enjoy that time with, it's a positive experience. So I think the more people that we can bring into the game, whether it's not something that has been part of their family, been part of their culture, bringing them into that tent, I think is better for everybody. It's just better for people to understand not everybody looks like you, not everybody talks like you, not everybody has the same experience as you, and the only way that you can find commonality is by spending time together. Right? Yeah. Asking questions, being with somebody. So if golf allows us the forum to do that, then I'm 100% for that. Yeah, I agree. I said this to, I forgot who I was talking to, but I said that, if I'm walking through the airport and I have my clubs, like, I get them from, a check bag and I get them, people will walk up to me, guys that would never talk to me. They walk up to me, oh, what course did you play? Yeah. You know what I mean? And it really just breaks down walls. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really, really cool. And anyone who's like championing the, bringing new people into the sport, I'm all for it. Let me ask you this question. What do you suck at on the
in general? How much time do you have?
on the course? What's the thing what's your bugaboo? What's that thing that you're trying to get rid of?
It's the driver. My tee game has been very inconsistent. I feel like my iron game is in a good spot. I got new irons for the first time in 9 or 10 years this past season, and put them in the bag and instantly felt comfortable. I'll give a plug to our guys at Golf Galaxy who sponsor AGS. Okay. Got clubs fitted. If you've not done that before and you're listening to this, cannot recommend getting fit enough. There's a misconception in the game where people think, oh, I'm not good enough. Same thing with competition. I'm not good enough to get fit. No, that's the reason you should get fit. Right. Because it's a piece of equipment that is designed to fit your body, your swing, your strength, all that stuff, right? So getting fit for irons. So I feel really good about my irons. My putter is inconsistent, but I feel like that's everybody who ever plays golf. Hard. It's very hard. But yeah, for me, the tee game is really where I want to kind of take it to that next level. Okay. You know what? If I had $1 for every time someone said driver on this show, I probably have $15. But yeah, man, the driver is tough. But going back to what you were saying about having clubs that are fit for you, it matters. It matters. I just got fitted again for some clubs. I had the wrong shafts before, and I just played, and I can just feel the difference. Now, my score is not, it didn't, reflect in my score right away. Sure. But how my shots feel, what I'm accomplishing, how easy it is to do the swing, all of that, I can feel it.
My driver, I was in a rabbit hole with my driver, just trying to figure it out. Ended up cutting it and all types of stuff. But I'm hitting fairways now.
Get the home lab in the garage out there, doing a little tweaking.
Exactly. One day I was just fed up. And I was like, I'm going to get this driver together. And I went down to 5-iron, and I was there for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, driver only. And was just really just trying to figure out those numbers, which brings me to my next thought. When you get fitted, you kind of understand what those numbers mean.
Yeah.
It's
a wild, I think, exploration into a part of golf that I had not really ever given credence to, right? It's understanding spin rates and launch angle and, path, swing plane, and path. They're all really important from the analytical side of the game. And again, this is where like some teachers will teach you the stuff we talked about earlier with athleticism and trust your innate ability, and other people will say you got to follow the numbers and do all that stuff. I think it's a healthy blend, as it is with anything in life, right? You talk about analytics at the professional sports level. Are you more of a data guy, more of a scouting guy? It's a combination of whatever you need to improve your game. I think having an understanding of what those numbers are and applying them to the clubs that you purchase and the way that you play your game and the swing that you have, that's all super important. But at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to like what's going to give you personally the best chance to be successful on the golf course.
Right. And the game is hard enough, so try to make it a little easier.
Amen to that.
What's something for a newbie? What's you said get fitted.
Yeah.
Let's say I just got some clubs. Let's say I couldn't get fitted. I didn't have the money to get fitted.
Yeah.
What are you doing to tell them to get ready? Like, where
going to my local public facility, and I'm getting a lesson from the pro there. The first thing that I'm doing, I'm buying a lesson pack of 3, 5, 10, whatever you can afford and fits your schedule.
Yeah.
Get that time, get those tips, and then hit the range.
How do you go about choosing the right, the right instructor?
That's a really good question, and there's a couple things that I would recommend. One, from an AGS perspective, that's something we support our members with all the time, right? We work with dozens of golf clubs locally, hundreds of clubs across the country. We have a relationship with the PGA section here that can certainly help. That's a great resource as reaching out to the PGA section in your region to say, hey, new to the game, this is what I'm looking for. Here's where I live. Which instructors are, most qualified to work with new students? Because some instructors, that's not their focus, right? Their focus is kids, or their focus is on touring professionals, or whatever it is. So I think finding the right one for you is definitely, to your point, that's what you got to ask. So I would say start with AGS if you're a member, or go to your local PGA section, or just pop into your club, take one lesson with that pro locally, and say, did I like this man or woman? Was that a good fit for me? And you can kind of pivot from there.
Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, like I said, I just, people who come across this show, I definitely just want to kind of break down that initial, I'm nervous, I can't do it. I want to break that down, especially for the Black and brown community, because, you said accessibility, not everyone grows up seeing people that look like them doing certain things. So I think that's very important, and also, just representation in general,
absolutely,
is very important.
I mean, part of the reason that we met was through Chill Moody and his, Nice Things Invitational, and I think that's one of the best things that's come out of this AGS experience is the relationship that I built with him professionally. Known him for years on a personal level, but now to be able to see the fruits of his labor, come together and make sure that he's providing a pathway for kids who didn't have that vision, right? To see him out there, to see you out there, to see people out there picking up a club who look like you makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
I think also just in the simulator landscape, right?
Yeah.
It's so much less intimidating if you're in a simulator where you hit the ball sideways. It doesn't matter. Just go over to the bar, get some to eat, have something to drink, get back to the sim, right? Like that feels better than being on a range where, you have
to yell for,
exactly.
And then everyone's looking at you. So I definitely get that. So so for this is another question for people who just started. If they wanted to get into AGS, how would you tell them to go about it?
Yeah, so I think the first thing I would recommend them to do is go to amateurgolfsociety.com to the website. There's a ton of information on who we are and what we do. Myself and my colleague Sam are always available to answer questions. I know we always joke that if I had 10 minutes with everybody, I could explain everything, and that's not exactly scalable, but we really do value that one-on-one relationship. And if people have questions about who we are, what we do, why it would be a fit for them, we'd love to hear from them. If they're ready to join, they can join at app.amateurgolfsociety.com. There's a link on the website to sign up. Includes your handicap index from GAP, from Golf Association of Philadelphia. So that allows you to play in all of our events, bunch of different access and perks involved, and it's a low cost, $85 for seniors, 100 for standard membership per year.
Okay, cool. I have a question. It's kind of a question for myself. When you post a score, you get access to the GIN.
Yep.
When you post a score, do you post it there, or do you have to go to?
Great question. So the
AGS?
way that it works, and for new members, and you'll start getting this shortly because the season's about to start, we have an onboarding kind of educational series that'll provide you with information of like, hey, here's how everything works. Here's how you can book tee times. Here's how you post your score. Our default setup is that when you play your AGS round, all you have to do is post your score in our app, and we take care of the rest.
Okay.
So we automatically send that score to GIN for you, which will update your handicap index. And if you prefer to opt out of that, like some of our members use a third-party app like the Grint or 18 Birdies. If you want to post there, you can toggle your account the ability to essentially deactivate our automated score posting for you.
Okay.
But otherwise, all you have to do is post your round in the app, and you're good to go.
Okay, and then it goes
straight to that system. Yep. You don't have to touch it.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I mean, I feel official having it again. I mean, handicap's not where I wanted to be yet, but
join the club, man.
yeah, that's so cool. So, let's talk about this really quick. What's something that someone could gain from the sport in general, like socially?
Yeah, I mean, I think networking, and I speak to this from an entrepreneurial seat, right? I've been my own boss for 15, 16 years in various capacities, and I think where I've seen the most professional growth is by having conversations with people that I'd never met before. Right. It's I met them at a networking event, or I meet them at a podcast, or I meet them on the golf course. I think golf lends itself because you are forced to spend that time with that person, get a really good idea as to who that person is. And because golf is, as we've discussed all day, it's an incredibly challenging sport. You watch how people deal with adversity, right? Yeah. So if someone is blowing the ball off the face of the planet and they're just cursing uncontrollably and they're throwing temper tantrums, it's probably not the type of person I'm going to want to be spending a lot of time with off the golf course. Yeah. You learn that very quickly when you spend time. So it's kind of a good networking opportunity for sure.
That's true. As an entrepreneur yourself, what can you say, like what kind of advice could you give for anyone trying to start a business in golf?
Oh, man. In golf specifically, it's a slightly different set of kind of initial steps, but I literally just had a call, and this happens a lot where like young entrepreneurs will reach out, and I was very fortunate that every step of the way in my journey, people were willing to give me time. I could spend 4 days listing off the people that allowed me opportunity to understand their business from the financial side to the operational side and help me become the business person I am now. What I tell everybody is you need to reverse engineer your plan. And what I mean by that, it's primarily financial. So, hey, what are you getting into? Cool. It's an awesome problem that you're solving. You're really passionate about it, but like, what is the business outcome, right? If the outcome is you want a steady paycheck, establish that. If your outcome is you want to get acquired and make billions of dollars and retire, great. But you need to understand what that goal is and then determine, once you've identified that goal, is what you're building, is it feasible to get to that goal? Because so many people will start down a path without there being a realistic outcome that fits their desire. And that's just going to make you feel like you're a failure, even though the reality is everything that you learned, whether or not you hit that arbitrary success, it's going to make you feel like you failed. And it's not the case at all in many circumstances.
Very, very true. Very true. You know what? I see it. There's a golf lesson in there. There's a golf lesson in there. Like, don't give up. Don't quit. Stay focused. Expectations are big, especially in golf, as well as life. Everything we say, you can think about as life too. But in golf, for me, if I have a good round, I show up to the next course thinking I'm about to have that same round.
I look like a peacock, man. My chest is puffed out when I'm there. I'm calling everybody I know. I feel the best I ever feel when I come back with a really good score. And then, next day comes and goes. But at least for that moment in time, I felt really good about myself.
Yeah, it's real true. It is true. But you learn how to deal with adversity. You mentioned earlier about staying in it. Like if you're like having a bad hole or something, you don't know what can happen. That actually just happened to me. I had like yesterday actually, had 2 or 3 bad holes in a row. And it just got to that point, was like, am I about to have one of those rounds that I don't want to talk about? And then I parred 2 pars in a row, on one of the hardest holes on the course. And it just kind of brought me back like, hey, don't get down on yourself, because anything can change on that next shot.
Best round I ever had, I started with an 8.
Okay.
quadruple bogey.
Yeah.
And then parred, I think I shot 76 at Letterack, and I was playing against two of my buddies in a money game. So that made it even extra special because they thought they were about to clean me out after that first hole. But it's a great reminder of, to your point, you just got to stay the course.
Yeah.
And you got to, it's one hole at a time. You're not going to win it or lose it all in one hole. Stay focused. You'll figure it out.
Do you gamble often when you're on the course?
I mean, gamble, yes, but like at a very low. I mean, we're talking about $5 or $10 aside. I try to avoid that. It's a slippery slope as a not great golfer.
For sure. Do you think gambling or any like games like that simulate the pressure?
Yeah.
It makes you.
I think it's, look, at the end of the day, whenever it comes to anything that's gambling related, whether we're talking about golf course or, sports books, it's if you're putting money that you can afford to lose and it gives you, some excitement and you're happy to do it and your friends are all on board, great. Like I support that entirely. And we've talked about, are there ways that we could include, peer-to-peer gaming within the AGS platform, right? Where obviously we're not betting on people playing a game outside of us, but like, would there be the ability to help people kind of dial in? Because sometimes people, they feel like, oh, when I'm playing a money game, I'm more locked in, I'm more focused.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, maybe it doesn't feel, again, because we're not hosting a competition with scoring officials and people watching you. So maybe that's what you need to kind of give yourself the extra edge. But
okay, that's something to keep in mind. Let's keep it because as we get closer, I want to start simulating pressure.
Yeah.
Because. With the league coming up, I want to take it serious, and I want to do well. But at the same time, my expectations are,
Well, just
tempered.
expectation-wise, the USGA says that your average golfer should beat their handicap 1 out of every 5 times.
Okay.
So that means 4 out of 5 times that you play golf, you are not going to beat your average score. That is what the data says. So if you go out there every time expecting to shoot 10 strokes better than your last round, you are always going to lose. There's no chance it's going to happen.
Dude, that right there, that data that you just gave me might have been the best nugget I've got. It might have been the best nugget I've got.
Do I walk out now
in
with like the
weeks.
little wave? Is that how it works? End on a high note? No.
I'm going to definitely keep that in mind and just be a little more gentler with myself. So, before we get out of here, as far as the league goes, like what is something that you want to leave with people to encourage them?
I think the biggest misconception is that, sometimes we'll have a member who's been with us or someone who's interested be like, I don't have time, right? And the reality is that the way our leaderboard structure is built, you do not have to play every week. You don't even have to play the majority of your golf with us to enjoy your membership and have competition. Right. So we have 3 separate leaderboard tiers. We call them best 3, best 6, and best 12. And what that means is that you're grouped with people during that tournament, as we said earlier, that are not only of your same skill level, but on a season-long basis, you're only earning points in that competition against people who are playing the similar amount of rounds as you.
Yeah, okay.
So that best 3 leaderboard means you can play up to 5 times a year with us and count your best 3 results. We automatically drop your worst 2, or if you only play 3, those are the points that you earn. The best 6 is for your best 6 posted rounds, and then you can play up to 11 times, and then best 12 is 12 or more. Okay. So we really like to emphasize that, like, hey, if you belong to a club or you're playing golf with other buddies, maybe you have a money game, maybe you're in another league, whatever it is, AGS can be a complementary piece of the golf puzzle, and with all the other benefits that we offer, from the handicap serving to our servicing to discounts with partners and sponsors to prizes, like all those type of things, they make it worth it even if you can only get out a couple times a year. So we would encourage people to not get bogged down in, I can't play every round with you, because it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm really excited about it.
Excited to see your name on the leaderboards.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, me too. I'll keep you posted. Glad that you came by. Is there any information or any sites or anything you want to leave for the people?
I think amateurgolfsociety.com is definitely the place to go to find all of our schedules, all of our rules, our formats. You can sign up there. And again, I'm at Dan at amateurgolfsociety.com. Welcome anyone who's listening to reach out with any questions, and always happy to talk shop.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate your
Likewise.
time. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us on the Swank Golf Podcast. Once again, we got another good one in the can. I'll see you guys on the next one. Please like, subscribe, share with a friend, and make sure that you hit the course very soon. We'll see you guys on the next one.